conveying research findings and addressing the unique challenges that qualitative researchers encounter. Dr. Ranjan's expertise is sure to provide us with practical tips, strategies, and perhaps even more inspiration to elevate our qualitative research endeavors. I encourage each of you to actively participate and engage in meaningful discussions. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn from one of the leading authorities in qualitative research. Once again, a warm welcome to Dr. Saket Ranjan. We are grateful for your presence, sir, and we eagerly anticipate the enlightening insights you will share with us today. Thank you, and let us embark our journey, the discovery together. Over to you, Dr. Sir. Uh, Sincere apologies as our guest speaker is finding some technical glitch. He will join in 2 minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Yes, ma'am. Share entire screen. Share entire screen. Share entire.
Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I apologize for the delay start because there's some technical glitch, and I was trying to connect my venue where I was supposed to start from is a little bit fuzzy today. That is why it took some time. I apologize once again. I'm just directly starting it. But so my area is paper writing skills, and I'm considering the qualitative research perspective. Uh, it will be basically on writing and presenting qualitative research. We have lot discussion on the issue like quantitative. So now I'm considering just presenting the paper writing skill on qualitative research perspective, and it has already got delayed. So no so much on introduction part. I shall be covering the more on the method of writing, the major considerations in qualitative research, and how it is different from the quantitative research we shall be describing. So, firstly, when qualitative research starts, actually we do have some certain questions in mind that how to conduct research when there is no theoretical background. Usually, we consider some theoretical background and then as a study starts, it means we are focusing towards the applied research or some quantitative research or some empirical research where some already theoretical background is there. But there are many situations when we don't have theoretical background and we have to start with a scratch. There are no chances, no situations of formulating hypotheses. So in that situation also, we are confined to think what kind of qualitative, what kind of research can be conducted, and therefore starts the basis for qualitative research. Then another question is there that how to study phenomena in a culture about which there is no or little information is available. Again, there is no theoretical background, no information is available, no hypotheses are able to be formulated. In that situation, again, we are confined to think on the point, the core aspects that how to write a research, how to conduct a research. Again, we are coming on to this aspect that what should be the name. I mean to say, again, we are coming on to the scratch part of the research where from a foundation can be created. How to study the subjective, hidden, or abstract ideas which can be covered in the research. Say, for example, a number of people are gathered at a specific place. They do have some certain kind of behavior. The behavior about which we are not aware. Maybe some unknown place, maybe some known kind of situation, maybe something which is unnatural, unbehavioral. In that situation, we are not having any background. And again, we are thinking what kind of situation or study can be conducted. So in all these situations, these are the questions which are making a way we are paving a way to conduct a specific kind of research, and therefore therefrom starts the origin of qualitative research. So we do have a defined layout of research paper. Like usually when we write whether it's a quantitative research paper or a qualitative research paper, in this situation, in entire consideration, we firstly write the topic, name of author's affiliation, then we write the abstract. The abstract describes the whole research in summary, small few sentences, few words, supported by some set of keywords. Then there is introduction, which includes the background, problem statement, research question, objectives, scope, and significance of the study. We go then to the literature review, consider the theoretical background, the works of other people, how they have done for this kind of study, and we just take those studies as a foundation for conducting our research. We go with the conceptual research, we go with the reference cases, case studies, analytical summaries, and we try to find out the gap, whatever the researches have been conducted and what are not done. Those gaps are identified. On the basis of this gap, we try to find out, develop a new dimension for the research. On the basis of this literature survey, we develop the framework of the study, the foundations, where from we start our study, where we manipulate the manifest variables, latent variables, direct variable, indirect variable, all these things are there. We try to make a relationship, establish a relationship among the variables, whether independent variable, dependent variable. We define all those variables and then we start our work. That is the blueprint of our research, a structure of our research, where from our research starts. Then we go with the research methodology, how this framework can be accomplished. We consider two aspects of research. One is research based on the primary data, another is the secondary data. As far as the primary data is concerned, we try to consider data from population. We identify the target audience, sample frame, number of samples, sampling technique, all those things we consider. This is based on the primary data. When we are considering the secondary data, I mean to say, the studies have been already conducted, and we consider those studies as the basis for our study, our structure. So we consider those things. We consider like case studies which have already been conducted, literatures available in terms of research papers, some establishment theories, phenomena, etc. We do have also another aspect, that is the experience survey, where there are many areas where things are happening, but they have not been documented. Nobody has conducted any research on that issue, but those things are dominant in the society. Those things are to be covered. We are taking the experience, the people who have worked at those situations. We are taking their experiences, and on the basis of those experiences, we document it, and this is known as the experience survey. And then we conduct our studies. Then we go for data analysis, interpretation, discussion, and finally conclusion. This is a layout of a research paper, what usually looks in terms of a research paper published in the journal. But the reality is a little bit different. We write usually first the topic, and then we go to the abstract part, and then actually this is the arrangement of the whole research. This is not the reality. This is not actual chronology. Actual chronology is something different. We write usually in the research paper problem statement at the third step, but actually this happens to be the very first step. Problem statement is the crux of the research, the soul of research, the origin of research, where we start our work. So actually it is just like that. We are expecting that a baby has to take birth, and just out of joy a person names the baby that some name. He just declared that my baby's name will be like this, and he named the baby the male. Say for example, a male baby, name of male baby. He just expected and speculated, rather, he nomenclated. But after that, it was found that the baby was not a male child, it was a female child. So then the name was not suitable. This is what happens in our research. Usually we start with a topic. I've seen people are starting their research with a topic. They firstly try to find out the topic. Actually, the topic comes very late. Actual initiation is the problem statement. So the chronologically problem statement happens to be the very first step. Then we go to the background of the study. We try to find out the works of other people, what they have done as far as the research is concerned in the specific field where we want to conduct our study. Then we switch on to the research question and the objectives, what questions, broad questions we are trying to cover, and what specific achievements we are going to do for the subject on which we are conducting our research. We also write the coverage area in terms of this scope. It defines the geographical coverage, the cultural coverage, the time coverage. Actually, it draws a delimitation for research. And the basis of that, then we start to find out what are the things which have been already done in the field, and then we conduct the literature review. After getting literature, information from literature, we draw the variables from the literature, we filter them, we eliminate them, we develop the framework of the study, and then we go on to the methodology, how this framework can be achieved. Once this methodology is done, then data is collected, those data are analyzed, we conclude we find the major aspects from the study, and then we conclude. We also discuss it. So some research journals write simply findings. Some research journals, they have their template, findings and discussions. Some templates are like findings and interpretation, something like that. So they are almost similar. But the major aspect is the finding. How you're going to describe it is a part of the discussion or interpretation. And finally, the conclusion, what we conclude from the research. At the end, we include the references. So the approaches as far as the qualitative research, these are the general, what we discussed, are the general layout of the research. We are here focused on the qualitative research. So we do have some approaches. 5 major approaches we consider. Like one approach is the grounded theory, in which the investigators collects a large data, comprehensive data, tries to associate this data with the theories. It applies the inductive regions to associate the findings with the established theories. Other approach is the ethnography approach. Here, researcher assumes as the part of the target audience, just avails itself, the part of the audience where it is conducting their study, tries to just assumes himself or herself where the study is being conducted, the element of that audience, and then gathers the data on the basis of which it concludes the research. The third one is the action research. Actually, it is a collaborative research between the researcher and the participants from the audience, target audience. The both they try to collaborate in order to connect with some theory. Phenomenological research is also a type of research where a scholar explores a phenomenon on the basis of which the participants' experiences are concerned. They are considered to establish this research. And finally, the narrative research, which is focused on the storytelling. So basically, these are the 5 basic approaches used in the qualitative research, and they become the basis for, one of them become the basis for conducting a research. Now, problem statement, as we discussed initially, happens to be practically the very first step. So let's have a small look what this problem statement is, what it is, and how it supports our study. So problem statement is an explanation in research that describes the issue that that is needed to be studied. So the basic aspect, the problem statement is just like that. We do have some problem meeting the doctor. So doctor firstly asks the problem. It doesn't directly provides the medicine or injects the medicine. It asks, conducts some tests, some diagnosis, and on the basis of which it starts a treatment. So actually problem statement is the sole aspect where from we start a study. Usually in the research paper, traditionally, it is written in short, it is clear and concrete, and it is some sort of explanation of an issue or challenge to be covered. So it is usually contextualize, contextualizes the problem. It indicates the expected change. It describes the exact issue of research. It also explains what is to be done so far, means what has been done and what are the prospects to be covered in the research. Is also justifying why a specific model, specific design is applied in the research. And it also shows why this research is required, what is the relevance of this research. It also helps to set the objectives of the research because the problem statement is the foundation for two dimensions, research of research questions. It addresses the two. Those become the basis for the next other things like framework and literature survey, etc. So we are having some steps to be covered as far as the problem statement is concerned. One is put the problem in the text. The problem has to be properly just put for conduction of the study. Then explain the relevance of the problem, why this problem should be, why it is covered. I do have some example I'll show you. Then we will have to also prepare a backup from for the claim why this problem should be addressed. Also, we'll have to propose a solution, expected proposal for the solution from the problems. And it explains also benefits of the proposed solution. So I do have some what we see some example, some problem statement. So three examples I'm having here. One example, violation of road traffic rules are evident in Bangalore city. Avoidance of traffic signals, high decibel noise creating vehicles, high smoke generating vehicles are often seen on the roads. This is a problem, one problem. Similarly, another problem, absenteeism of employees from health centers are common in rural areas as a result of which patients are bound to treatment private hospitals. And trains are running delayed. Delayed running of trains has become a regular feature in the summer. So these are some problem statement of studies. Now background. So the background actually is the canvas upon which we have to paint up research. Detailed understanding of the theme. Actually, the subject upon which we are conducting the study, we have to have the understanding about it. What job has been, is the basis, how our job will consider to be a figure on this canvas of background. General overview of the subject we are writing is the subject all about and how it will be a specific once the research is conducted. If there are some controversies, what are those controversies, why those controversies are there, and how these controversies can be sorted out somewhat this research. So all these things are covered as far as the background of the study is concerned. So research question and objectives. Now, as far as the background is concerned, again, just I consider the very first problem that the traffic problem, road traffic problem in Bangalore city, avoidance of traffic routes and etc. I do have a background. I've just considered this study as a part of the study. For example, I'm just writing one background for this study. That traffic rules and regulations are important. So I have prepared this study. This study is from Economic Times, from one data that is from year 2000. And this study was conducted uh, by Ahmad. can see that how study can become a basis for our study. So we are finding that this is not a problem Bangalore City. This study was conducted in India because it is writing that the functioning of the roads in India. So this study was conducted by the author and it covered that it is almost more or less in the entire country. That is why this becomes a background, that why we are considering this background and how it is helpful us. We are considering that Bangalore city is suffering this problem, but this problem is more or less in the entire country. And if we are conducting a study on this issue, it may be applied throughout the country for other similar cities. So that is why this is the relevance of our study. Now, now proceeding further, research questions and objectives. So actually, two dimensions. Research questions are the broader aspects for the coverage of a study, and objectives are the specific aspects to be covered in the study. Research question can be maybe for the whole of the economy. Objectives may be confined, for our case example, confined to a specific city like Bangalore city. But this finding can be generalized for the research question. That is why it has a broader aspect. Again, I'm going back to, I think, yeah, the one example that how we have done research question as far as our study is concerned. So why do people do not follow road traffic rules? These are the research questions. Some questions you can see here on the screen, what we have drawn from the issue. And now the what are the objectives? You can find here in research question that they are broader aspects. Now we are coming on to the objectives. Here, research questions are not confined to a specific time or something like that. It is broader. But objectives are covering, where the first objective is confined to the Bangalore city. We consider that this specification can be generalized for further course of action so that it may be accepted and applied in the other similar cities of the country, because we do have the same rule for the entire country. Now, let me see here to study the violation behavior of people in Bangalore city, to explore the variables of road traffic violation, to determine the real variables of traffic violation in Bangalore city, and to suggest measures to follow the traffic rules in Bangalore. So these are the specifications of the study, and they are considered to be the objectives of the study. Now, proceeding further, the scope of the research, how do we write it? So actually, scope basically refers to the boundary of the research, where this study can be applied. For example, in our case, if we are conducting a road traffic problem, so this study can be applied to all those areas where the similar rules are applied. In many Asian countries, there is a left-hand side uh, fashion. Means we are driving our vehicles in the left-hand side. There are many, majorities are running in the right-hand side. But Asian countries, and especially the British colony countries, all they are following the left-hand side rule. So everywhere this study can be applied, although it is being conducted in Bangalore city. Now, these are some steps which are taken care while developing the scope, writing the scope, that there should be a clarity in the consideration of the research objectives. Identification of the research questions must be very clear, specific. Determination of the target population of the study also should be clear. And it also, this scope outlines what are the variables to be investigated. They are on a subject, certain subject. There may be innumerable variables. For example, if we are conducting, I'm taking the example of market. So there are 4 P's, major P's: product, price, place, and promotion. If we are conducting a study, I have seen that while selecting the variables, that is a matter of consistency, I'm telling you. While selecting the variables, we have seen number of times that we are taking the variables like, if we are testing, trying to get the impact of independent variable on dependent variable, like like the quality, advertisement, price. We try to test their impact on purchase intention. If we try to find out why we selected these variables, we do not have any justification. We simply write whatever we considered, whatever the subjects came to our mind, we just selected it. This is not a problem. This is a problem of inconsistency. While selecting some variables or a scope actually defines what variable should be there. It is just like if a student is appearing three papers in economics, one paper in management, and four papers in geography, what result he shall be getting? It's a problem before the university also. Similarly, we are taking three variables from product orientation, one variable from price, another three variables from promotion. We don't have any consistency. A scope defines which dimension we are going to cover. For example, product oriented intention towards product oriented factors on the impact of product oriented factors on purchase intention, which we are considering. In that condition, we shall be focused on only the product oriented factors like quality, brand, packaging. Kotler has defined 10 factors on product. It is related to the type of product. For example, if we are considering soft drink as our product, so quality may be applied as far as the product orientation is concerned. Variety may be considered, size may be considered, that is quantity. But design cannot be applied in the case of a soft drink. Features cannot be applied in the case of soft drink. So these factors are eliminated, and whatever the factors are left are actually the consistent factor. A scope helps us in identification of the variables for the conduct of the study. Now, I do have again, I think there is the same scope of the study. The study has a wide scope. I mean to say the traffic problem I have taken here, for example. The study has a wide scope as everywhere is directly or indirectly associated with road traffic. India has a common traffic rule, I said you, and that is why this scope, the scope of the study is wider. It can be applied in almost all parts of India, not almost, rather every part of India, because the traffic rules are the same and people are violating the traffic rules. This can be applied. Some reasons we may find, for example, lack of education, awareness. People are not, flexible rules and regulations by the administration, traffic board. If these things are considered, they may be applied. Definitely, it will be helpful in finding out the solution to this traffic problem. Now, literature review. How to conduct this literature review? So, literature should be confined to our objectives and research questions. What literature should be there? Sometimes we try to find out the exact literature. Actually, exact literature may not be applied, and sometimes it is not possible also. For example, if we are conducting a study on a stationery product, so similar variants may not be available in the case of a stationery, but the similar kind of product can be like consumables. Those consumables and a stationery look to be similar, and the study conducted on consumable may be applied in the case of the stationery products. So this is how literature is also sorted out. But there must be a similarity in the product. The price intention of a car may not be applied in the price intention of a note because of the product lifespan. In one situation, you are making your price decision at a time all of a sudden that you are going there, you find, you like the product and you purchase it. Although it was not there in the plan, but you find just it was a spontaneous decision. You like the product and purchase. You do not, you can apply in the case of a pen, a stationery product, a shirt, some garment, short lifespan and a smaller price. This kind of decision, purchase decision may not be applied in the case of a car. All of a sudden you are visiting a showroom and you like the car and purchase it. It is not applied. That is why the similar kind of literature should be there. The framework, the objective, and the research question, they all help in finding out the associated literature. So what should be there? Define the research scope. I shall be first. that what is their scope, and accordingly the literature has to be selected. These 5 points are important ones. I am telling not these are not the only points, but they are the general points which are to be covered while conducting a research. Study the relevant literature, critically analyze the literature. Another thing I would like to discuss here that many a times I find this situation, especially the new researcher scholar which are newly starting writing. I'm just targeting those ones. They think that if associated literature I have found, just copying it, paste it along with the reference, and that is why this is supposed to be the literature. This cannot be a literature review. It is a literature, not literature review. If we are writing review, means we will have to critically analyze whether this is relevant to the subject area or not, whether what are the things, what are the points have been just discovered by the previous author and what are the points are left, and that is why we are able to find out a gap in the literature. And finally, we will have to make the proper references for the resources. So I'm coming on to the, once the literature is there, the framework. The framework is basically, in one sentence, is a foundation for the entire study. It's the blueprint of the study. Framework tells which variables and how they are associated with other variables. For example, if we are conducting a descriptive study, we are considering all variables to be independent. But whenever we are conducting a causal study, we will have to identify independent variables, although they are internally independent, but there is a correlation among them because of a similar model. And then how they are associated with the dependent variable, whether this relationship is significant or not, whether they are influencing the dependent variable significantly or not. These all things are decided by the framework of the study. And then what are the steps to develop this framework? Few points I have written. Simply, I'm just summarizing it, that once you identify some variable, you make it a specification. You specify it. How it is specified, how it is specific in terms of the objectives of the study. How these variables are going to influence our whole study. Suppose some variable is there as the part of the independent variable. If it is supposed to be related to the dependent variable, it may influence the dependent variable directly. But there are many variables which are not directly associated with the independent or dependent variable. They are available in the situation, and they are influencing the fact, the dependent variable being alienated part of the study. They are supposed to be the covariates. For example, two friends are talking something, they are planning to visit in college, planning to visit some mall, but all of a sudden they realize that a teacher is just standing behind. Their language, their matter, everything gets changed. Teacher was not the part of the discussion, but the presence of the teacher influenced the subject matter, language, method, intonations, everything. Just he influences, and those things are get changed actually because the teacher was working as a covariate. This is how the variables are also there, which influence sometimes as covariate also. So this framework also decides which variables are the independent, dependent, or covariate. What is the situation, a status of a specific variables? These things are just defined by the framework. If a framework is strong, there are a good chance of finding out the proper result from the research. Now, methodology part. How we are developing our method. Actually, methodology, after the framework is done, then we start how this framework can be achieved. This is done through the methodology part. Methodology includes many things in itself. Actually, there are some certain consideration when you are designing a methodology, like a reason for choosing a particular research method. It is stated in the methodology. Whether it is a quantitative research, qualitative research. Within qualitative research, it's ethnography, psychography, demography, what study you are going to consider, what approach you are going to consider. All these things are the part of the methodology. What is your target audience? What is the sampling frame? What is the sampling technique? What is the sample size? Whether it is a structured study or unstructured study. All these things are there in the methodology. So methodology becomes the blueprint for conduction of the study. Here I'm just dividing. As far as the source is concerned, there are basically two sources: primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources where we are getting the first-hand data, which is not used for anything, or the purpose of the data which was collected for the research itself. While in secondary source, the purpose was something different and data was collected for some other purpose being used for the stuff for the study, referred study. That is the secondary source. As far as the primary is concerned, primary source is concerned, we collect data from observation, interview, focus group, and survey. Let me describe a little bit. Observation, where a study is conducted and data is collected without interfering it. Simply we observe it. What is happening, we note it. It may be two types: direct observation and indirect observation. In direct observation, the protagonist, the subject, knows that he or she is being observed. For example, examination is going on and invigilator is there, so examinee knows that he or she is being observed by the observer, by the invigilator. This is direct observation. But in indirect observation, the subject does not know that he or she is being observed. Say, for example, using a video camera, hidden video camera, someone is doing something that is being recorded. Later on, it was found that this was the actual phenomena. Here, that uh, that intention of the subject is filtered. When someone knows that he or she is being observed, the behavior is affected, but that effect is deleted as far as the indirect observation. So both are having their own role. In interview, we have a discussion with one-to-one, while in a focus group, we do have some number of people at a time. All are sitting together. So this is usually a small group, 6 to 8 with 9 people, something like that. We do have their opinion, what is yours and what is yours, and we come on to a certain consensus. So this is known to be focus group. That is also a method. And in survey, we ask people similar kind of question. Usually it is a questionnaire. Now the difference is that while in quantitative research, this survey is a structured questionnaire where options are given. Here in qualitative research, we use unstructured, open-ended questions are there. We provide freedom. Although the questions, the set of questions are defined, but as far as the answer is concerned, that is open. So this is the basic difference between a qualitative and quantitative research. As far as the secondary data is concerned, we use text, images, audios, and videos. We just already available. We transfer them. We get the content from those information and use as per the requirement of the referred research. So now, research based on the primary data, we do have 4 dimensions. One is the audience consideration, then blueprint, data gathering, and analysis considerations. Audience consideration, we do have target audience on which audience we are going to conduct our study, and which part of this target audience should be taken as the part of the study. For example, if we are conducting our study on Bangalore city, as I said you, that the target audience is the travelers, people, common mass in the Bangalore city. But everyone's study is not possible. We select some certain areas, some certain criteria on which we conduct our study, considering that those will be the representative of the whole population of Bangalore city. That is known to be the sample frame. For example, students in a certain locality, or youngsters in a certain locality, youngsters in a certain age, in a certain gender. We consider that they represent whole of the population, and that is why they're supposed to be the sample frame. This is the audience consideration. Now the blueprint, that is basically the research design on which our infrastructure is to be erected. Just like if you are making a building, that what is the infrastructure, how many will be the rooms, what will the size of the building, etc. Everything is defined as far as. Similarly, in our research, everything is defined, the dimensions, the variables, the relationship. That is the research design. And then data gathering considerations, in which many things are coming, like what should be the sample size, what will be the sampling technique, how we are considering it. I'm telling you once again, I'm reminding you that this is regarding the research based on the primary data. Now, which instrument we are using, whether it is observation, interview, focus group, survey, or projective techniques. Projective techniques, just we show some picture and we ask people, how do you find, what do you find in it? So the latent behavior is coming out of it. So these are some data gathering considerations, like how do we record those things, how do we document those things, and what are the ethical considerations. We are not going to hurt anyone's sentiment, something like this. If we are taking someone's information and the person is willing to hide the information about the person, we must know it. And the person is willing to explain it, we must mention in the references, etc. etc. So those are the ethical considerations. All these things are coming under the data gathering consideration. And finally is the analysis consideration, in which basically the data analysis. In qualitative research, basically there are two types of analysis. One is the diagnostics and other is the prescriptive. As far as the quantitative research is concerned, there are various, like inferential statistics, predictive analysis, all many methods are there. Filtering of the data, supervised and unsupervised analysis of the data. Here we are having some limitations because we are just making foundation for the qualitative, and our findings are in terms of qualitative data. Now, secondary data. We just described all the primary data. We are coming to the secondary data. It means research based on the secondary data. So we are considering here three major considerations. One is the audience, another data gathering. The third one is the analysis consideration. Target audience has to remain the same, because this is the audience for which we are writing the report. We are conducting the research. Now, as far as this data gathering is concerned, we will have to be confined to the available information. We are not going to conduct something fresh. So usually it is available in terms of exploratory means which is already explored, which is already ready, available. And we are taking from that available data. We are exploring from the available data. That is why we call it exploratory, and this is the basis of the secondary source data method. So literature review, whatever the literature is, some cases have been written, and we consider those cases as the basis for our study. And then we documented experience survey, as I said you, that people are having their experiences. They have written about their biography, something like some reminiscences are written. We just consider those things. We extract information from such places and make the basis for the research. Finally, as far as the data analysis is concerned, the only aspect is the content analysis. We try to find out what contents are, whether hidden content or direct content are available, whether latent content or in manifest contents are available. All these things are considered, but only this is the content part which is transformed and generalized as far as the findings of the study is concerned. Now, findings and discussions, they become the major part. As I said initially, in some journals, they write it findings, interpretations and findings. Some where simply they write findings. Somewhere it is written findings and discussions. Especially if you find the Q2, Q3 journals of Scopus, this template is very common, that findings and discussions, as along with the novelty. So we consider some points as far as the findings and discussions are concerned, that this is basically something which is achieved from the study and how it is going to associate from our objective, how it is going to associate with the present literature, how it is contradicting the present literature. We did make discussions. Something, for example, we know that demand is inversely related to price, but in some situation you will find that demand is going along with the price. This is some sort of contradiction. In which situation this contradiction comes, we will have to discuss, and this becomes the part of this findings and discussion, which varies from research to research. And on the basis of this discussion, we also draw the strength of the study, and we also draw the limitations of the study. Data presentation, I'm telling you, it is also a part of very lucrative part of qualitative research. As the quantitative research has a very lucrative part is the data analysis, that level of significance, how your establishment of the relationship between independent and dependent and covariates. Similarly, in the qualitative research, this part becomes very, very important and lucrative. You can see here, basically there are four types. Tables and graphs with text. It is used for all non-blind readers and users. Image, all non-blind users and readers. But audio, it is specifically for non-deaf, because a person who is deaf cannot listen to the audio clips. So audio analysis is for non-deaf. Similarly, that image is for non-blind and video is also for non-blind. These are some methods and we will have to have. That is why I'm covering here that blind, non-blind, deaf, normal, everything has been covered. Basically, the type of readers, users are there. These findings, these methods are considered as the part of data analysis and finding. Now, another thing, another issue is important, that what is our target user? Accordingly, we will have to use the language, the linguistic part. If we are writing something in India, our context should be Indian. If our, nowadays, big publishers are having their editions, Asian perspective. Same book is published in Asia, is Asian perspective. The same title is published in Africa, African perspective. We do have many examples. So we will have to consider the language, culture, all those things, so that it may be easy to understand to the readers. This is also a basic part, major part of the study. So here you see here, for example, first one, as I discussed with you, the tables and charts with text. We do have some you see here, DD, Z, HT, FB. HT, I mean to say the Hindustan Times, FB, Facebook, Star, Times means Times of India, Danik Bhaskar, WhatsApp, Instagram. These are combinations of words. But when we are analyzing it, we are grouping it at this like DD, Z, and Star. They are actually representing the electronic media. This is one method of presentation on the basis of the group. Times, Times of India, Danik Bhaskar, Hindustan Times. They are representing print media. And FB, WhatsApp, and Instagram, they are representing social media. So this is known to be the tables and graph with texts, semantic categorization. Another is the word cloud. We do have, you can see here, lot many things are written in an area like analysis, research, big data, information, such. This reflects something which suggests it is regarding something. There is data analysis is concerned, like big data or small data. If there is data that has to be analyzed, information, it is also a part of data. Raw data, uh, raw information is the data, and once it is transformed, it becomes the information. Entire study, entire depiction is regarding the data analysis, finding information from the same data. There is a general literal meaning of this, the host of words. Then there is graphic timeline. So you can see here, very common picture I have taken here of the evolution of human being. Actually, it is showing the time, that ancient time, and how gradually person means it shows only 5 figures are there, but it shows a very long time. We are starting from the time immemorial, how the person, how the man was looking and how it evolved. So this kind of graphic presentation is known to be graphic timeline. It may be, I'm taking here for a longer period, maybe shorter period. For example, mobile phones, how the earlier mobile phones was looking. The screen was shorter and keypad was bigger. Then both became shorter. And nowadays keypad is very smaller, rather somewhere not seen, and a screen is larger. So you can also show the timeline of the development of mobile phone. Similarly, another is the presentation through images. Here, three images are there, and one information is just being reflected. I am hungry in all the three first pictures. Now, as I said, that for blind people, these images will not be working. So we do have some audio clip, and I'm clicking here that just we can. So what I said, this is about information on AI, artificial intelligence. And this information, maybe this finding on artificial intelligence, actually there was a study conducted on artificial intelligence, its applications. And there was a question on the people, how blind people can take the benefit of artificial intelligence, because majority part is the visual in artificial intelligence. And it was seen, this was the study, and this study is all about this discussion. So this discussion may be applicable, this finding may be applicable for the people who are unable to see. Presentation through video. By mistake, it has been written audio. It is video, and you will see something how the scene gets changed, how behavioral aspects become mingled with the findings. Let's see this. So what we see here, that the, the news reader just depicting one situation in Syria, it is reflecting the human behavior. The what you see, what you tell, there is the specific empathy that is included. This empathy is included. It's a part of behavior. Through this video, we can realize that how empathy is working in our behavior. We cannot totally escape from the reality, even though we are sometimes we become the judge, but you can, if the person who is judging something cannot get escape. A very famous observation by T.S. Eliot. He writes that the art of a critic is just like a catalytic agent in the laboratory of chemistry, which induces the research and without being effective of it. But at the same time, he also writes that we cannot escape the personal biases. So we are human beings. While conducting, our personal biases definitely get included. Those things are also to be considered. We think that we are totally unbiased, but those things always working sometime directly, sometime indirectly, and how they can be filtered through this video, we can see that. So now conclusion part. Conclusion is basically a small part of our finding. We write, actually, this is the summary of everything. The very famous two authors have been there, and they have written, they have suggested three questions as far as the conclusion is concerned while writing a qualitative research. How well does this analysis explain the reasons behind a particular behavior? To what extent, I mean to say, they are asking. Another, how comprehensible would this explanation for justification in the setting? So if you are conducting a research, to what extent you are going to analyze the situation, how comprehensive your findings are, and how well does the explanation add to with what is already known. Something is known. Now, if you are conducting a research, it is not that it is only for the sake of conduction. If you are conducting a research, definitely you are going to contribute something to the academic world. So what is your contribution? This is the method of writing the conclusion. And finally, we have to add references, that How these references can be added, usually it is the end part of your research. There are various methods of writing references. One of the most common, most popular method is the APA system. So in APA system, you write firstly the author, then the time, then you write the article name, then the source, means I mean to say the journal or the book or whatever is newspaper, periodicals, media, which media you are using, when it was published, everything. If it is a newspaper, date is important. If it is journal, volume and number is important, year is important. And nowadays it is there in fashion that you write also the URL. It works a lot while developing, finding out that your DOI number. DOI number is some indirectly some URL number. Actually, it is the digital object identifier. It reflects this information. This provides the whole information about your research. So this is the method. Here I've taken a small piece of literature, and we can see here that the first term is the Elena et al. Usually, when there are two authors, we write X and Y, but then when there are three authors, like X, Y, and Z, we write X et al. And this is what we see that this Elena we can find at the end, third reference. There are many authors. One, two, three, four authors are there, and that is why I wrote Elena. Elena, the first term is in usually, the time is written, and then in the end, this reference is extended as far as the whole information is concerned. So this is from my side, a little bit on qualitative research. I tried my level best to uh, communicate my understanding on qualitative research, what I have been doing. It's a vast area, it's a big area. The sky is the limit for research, and definitely, if it is found worthwhile to anyone, I will find this session is something contribution towards the academic work, the academy. And if you have any question, please, I would like to ask Nirupa ma'am. Ma'am, do we have some question?
Uh, yes, sir. We have a few questions in the chat box, sir.
Okay.
So one question has been asked that how uh, how can the writing and presenting qualitative research,
Hmm.
how can researchers acknowledge the limitations of their study while maintaining confidence in the validity of their findings?
Can you repeat, ma'am, once again?
The question is, how can researchers acknowledge the limitations of their study while maintaining confidence in the validity of their findings?
Audio is cutting, ma'am. Come, please, once again. Yes,
Yeah. Sir, am I audible now?
yes. Now it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. The question has been asked, how can researcher acknowledge the limitations of their study while maintaining confidence in the validity of their findings?
Oh, great, wonderful question. Actually, this is the ethic part of the research, that you will have to maintain the confidentiality of the people who are responding to or become the part, if they wish to become the part of, means they don't want to reveal their identity. When many situations happen that you are conducting a research, some areas are of research where people don't want to express their their identity. Many researches have been conducted, especially on corruption. So people have been associated, and it has been maintained that they were the part, directly or indirectly, of the research, but because of their choices, their identity was not discovered, not disclosed. This becomes, actually, this is the ethical part of the research. As far as their identity is concerned, whether they are actually the part of the research is not, it is there in the part. It's just like we are collecting data, but entire data is not exhibited in the research paper. We are writing only the findings. So those people are kept aside. They are taken. They are given due credit. And if they wish, then only their identity is disclosed. So actually, this is an ethical part of the research.
Thank you, sir. So one one last question which has been asked because of the time constraint. The last question that I'm asking is, so how do the representation of negative or unexpected findings in the qualitative research contribute to the overall rigor and the credibility of the study?
Oh,
So
great.
unexpected and negative findings, sir.
Very good. Ma'am, I'm just taking one example for this. Newton found the velocity, established the theory of velocity of sound, and he used the real gas changes. According to the Newton, it was earlier 280 meter per second, and when it was tested in laboratory, it was not found to be correct. Since Newton mentioned that the theory behind this establishment was the real gas changes, his student Laplace, he conducted a study and he considered that since real gases were not working, he changed the ideology, changed the theory. He worked on adiabatic changes. And after this, he found it was 332 meter per second. And when it was tested in laboratory, it was found to be correct. Newton mentioned it was although not found to be correct, but he mentioned that which theory he has used to establish the theory of velocity of sound. And because of this declaration, the Laplace was able to find the correct and the proper velocity of sound. This negativity is there becomes the positivity for the further researches. If I do have a flaw, I mention my flaw, that what is flaw of my research, what are the limitations of my research. This will be a basis for the further researches. They will not follow the same, they will try to alternate the foundation. And that is why it is supposed to be a positive contribution, although the finding.
Thank you so much, sir. Do we have any other questions, participants? The forum is open. Now we will conclude the session for today with a heart full of gratitude and appreciation as we come to the close of this enlightening session on writing and presenting qualitative research. It is my distinct pleasure to extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed guest, Dr. Saket Ranjan. Dr. Ranjan's expertise, insights, and passion for qualitative research has left an indelible mark on the each of us here today. Your ability to distill complex concepts into accessible knowledge, coupled with your dedication to advancing in the field, has been nothing short of inspiring. We are profoundly grateful for the time you have dedicated for sharing your experiences, strategies, and invaluable tips on navigating the insights landscape of qualitative research. Your profound understanding of the subject has illuminated new paths for us to explore and has undoubtedly sparked a renewed enthusiasm for our own research endeavors. I would like to express my gratitude to all the attendees who has participated and asked the questions. A special word of thanks goes to Dr. Annie Stephen, Head of Department Professional Accounting and Finance, Mr. Jagdish, Coordinator of Department, and the Organizing Committee for orchestrating this event seamlessly. Your hard work and attention to detail has created an environment conducive to learning and knowledge exchange. As we leave today, may we carry forward the insights gained from Dr. Ranjan's expertise and may they serve as guiding light in our respective journey within the realm of qualitative research. Once again, thank you, sir, for gracing us with your knowledge and insights. Your contribution has undoubtedly enriched our understanding of qualitative research, and we look forward to applying these lessons in our own work. Thank you. And here to mention pursuit of knowledge and excellence in the research. Thank you so much, sir. I remain.
Ma'am, I also express my gratitude to the organizers who me this opportunity to be with you all researchers, and special thanks to the audience who were with me the session. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.